Hello, and welcome to the Consider Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Eric King, and along with my co host, Mino Pachan, we're here to talk about all things mental health. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody. This is not your usual introduction. With the first voice you're hearing is our boy Mino Pachan, my co-host and partner in crime. Just kind of like last week, he's been going through some medical issues. Please keep him in your prayers. He's doing all right. Talk to him. But he's just resting up. So I told him, hey, we'll hold it down. I had our friend James Jerry, help me out last week, and so this week I'm gonna fly it solo, man. So I appreciate you all for rocking with the Consider Your Mind podcast, episode 34. Already, man, 34 weeks straight. You guys have been listening to us, and you guys are what keep it going. So we do appreciate that. Today's topic, it's going to be a little bit different, but kind of the same theme as we've been kind of going on. Things that we say, we take for granted. We just kind of become part of our lexicon. And what does it really mean, though? What's it actually doing to us? And I wanted to really talk about, this thing called the law of attraction. And loosely kind of manifesting all those kind of ideas, but specifically the law of attraction and what that's actually doing to our mental health. It kind of really it made me think of some things that happened when I was involved with some MLM groups back in the day. And if you haven't heard me talk about that, please look at episode 33. Like I said, thank you to Mr. James Jerry, our resident therapist and friend of the show. He came on last week, and we talked about trusting yourself again after being scammed and things like that, after getting involved in some things or making bad decisions. And how do we learn again to relearn to trust ourselves once again? And I kind of talked about when I was younger, about 18, 19, yeah, about 19, I think. One of the things they would talk about was, again, the law of attraction. They would talk about it kind of loosely, but I remember specifically around that time this thing came out called The Secret. But when I was involved with the MLM, literally it seemed like every home we went to, when we would go up to our upline, the person above us, go to their house to do phone calls, catch up, whatever it was, all of them had that. When we would go to these conventions, there would always be types of books, good books too. How to Win Friends and Influence People, stuff by Carnegie, Zig Ziglar, like a lot of people, that very motivational stuff, good salesman stuff. But, they would also point us to products that would get us to think a certain way. And I remember that's when I started to think about when we weren't having success in that field, when you weren't, because it wasn't necessarily designed to be successful. If you're involved in kind of a pyramid scheme, you got to get more people in below you in order for you to rise up. So it's more about recruiting and getting people in, buying into, the team, buying into the plan, showing the plan. But it was a lot of this positive thinking stuff came. So that's what I kind of wanted to speak on today. Again, the law of attraction and looking at, what is this really doing to our mental health, particularly for people that are maybe not cognitively, normative. So, have anxiety, have depression, have things like that, where your thoughts aren't necessarily the best. And then if you believe that your thoughts aren't the best, but if you can't help but think those things, and now believing, oh, that's going to happen inevitably to you, the anxiety and stuff that can cause. So some, again, a little off the beaten path, but hey, we're rocking here solo today. We're changing it up just a little bit. I got an article I'm going to read and kind of go through that kind of covers this, that I thought was really great. But quickly, I'm going to start doing book reviews coming up. I just got this new book by a lady named Brene Brown. She's Dr. Brene Brown. She's pretty well known, man. If you look her, Instagram, up millions of followers. Again, her TED Talks got millions of views and stuff like that. Very well-known woman. She says she has this book that I'm going to be reading called The Gifts of Imperfection. Letting go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. So your guide to a whole hearted life. So I'm looking forward to that. That really caught my eye, that second part of the title, letting go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. So I'm going to be doing kind of a, once I get through with that, going to be reviewing it. I'll put the link obviously down in the description box, for it. So, try to bring some more substance of education and give you all some resources to look at. Earlier episodes, if you kind of go back, I was talking about Gabor Mate a lot. I was reading his book, as well as The Biology of Belief, talking about that, and epigenetics, which we're going to have an episode on in the future, near future as well. And so I want to be, bring that kind of scholarly or academic, kind of approach to this. But at the same time, again, give a real perspective of it. Okay, what is this saying to me as somebody who's in therapy, actively, working on their mental health, and has an audience of people who are doing that as well. Okay, how did this book really help? How did these ideas and things like that really, you know, manifest into a better life, and specifically mental health, but a better life, period. And speaking of that word again, manifest. It's also a cool show. If you guys have never checked it out, Manifest, it's a trippy show. I think they canceled it for a while, but then I think they brought it back. It's like these people on this plane disappeared for a couple years and they come back. So it's a sidebar. But manifesting, man. We hear it on social media. I think it's, a lot of ladies, I'm not gonna lie. That's who I hear bring it up most. Not gonna bring up no names or anything like that of women that I know personally that really believe in, these things. And I don't think there's anything wrong with, necessarily wanting or manifesting or, thinking of a better life for yourself and, directing your thoughts toward that, because I think those can be lead to positive action steps, towards that. You want to take some steps along with those ideas. However, if you're a person that's suffers from anxiety, or depression or something like that, thoughts, if you truly believe, and the idea of manifesting, the law of attraction, you're going to bring into your life what you think about, and you're not necessarily having the most positive thoughts about yourself. Your anxiety, your condition that you're diagnosed with, it is really preventing you from having the thought life that, a healthy thought life. And so now you bring into that a true belief that what I'm thinking is going to occur in my life. That's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. It's all good until it's not. Again, much like when I was in the pyramid scheme. When you're doing good, you're getting some new people. There's excitement. Hey, you're growing, kind of. You know, you feel like you kind of got a rhythm with everything like that. Making friends. Everything is going good. All right, everything is fine. Then all those self-help books, all that positive self-talk that you've been doing to yourself, now you feel like, okay, it's paying off. But hey, when you're objectively, perhaps you're in a mechanism or in a field or with a group of people, or in something that's not necessarily designed for you to succeed, in the long term, then that kind of turns on itself. Now, okay, what's wrong with me? Not looking at necessarily the system around, because maybe you see some people succeed, you see some newer people, some maybe newer people, younger people, whoever, they have an immediate pop, or they're getting ahead of you. It works this way in the corporate world as well. Now you start to doubt yourself, you start to diminish your own accomplishments. Those thoughts, those negative thoughts start going into your head. And now, just like before, you believe your positive thoughts are what brought these positive things going. Well, then, hey, now what's the other side of that coin? Now you dang near afraid to think. you know One of the inspirations again for this topic was our other resident therapist and friend of the show, hypnotherapist, actually practices out of Australia, and is from the Bahamas, and he's going to be back for a third time pretty soon on the show, so look out for that. One of the things we brought up on his first show was a video that he did. First Light Counseling YouTube page, check him out. He did a video of, what are we really doing when we say respect is earned, not given? What are we really telling people when you say that? And to really go a little bit deeper into just, not just saying stuff, but what are we really telling people, what does that do mental health wise, when a person hears things like that? So so that made me think of other things, and again, kind of led us into different topics in the show. And led me to this one, and it led me to this article on Vice.com. Shout out to Vice; they have a cool channel as well, a lot of cool stuff on there. But it was this article called "The Idea of Manifesting Your Future May Be Bad for Your Mental Health," and it's by Shayla Love. And so, I'll be reading excerpts from that. It's only just a couple years old. Came out looks like 3 years ago in 2019. But the heading of it is, the law of attraction says your thoughts eventually become reality. That's an anxious person's worst nightmare. So thinking about it from that perspective, like, wait a minute, me as somebody that doesn't diagnosed with anxiety disorder or depression or anything like that. I'm more perhaps in control of my thought life. And so it's easier for me to, okay, embrace maybe the law of attraction, say, okay, well, control my thoughts better. So that may be a good thing for me. However, my boy Mino, my partner in crime, will be returning soon, hopefully. He isn't diagnosed with anxiety, and so for him, if you listen to some earlier shows when he really speaks on it, those anxious thoughts, man, those things, have a mind of their own. All of a sudden, you're afraid to leave the house because you think you're going to go get hit by a car, get in a car accident. You're convinced yourself, the worst case scenarios. Oh man, I feel a little pain in my chest. Am I having a heart attack? Oh my God, you start looking up the signs of a heart attack or a stroke. And as you're reading the signs, you start feeling them in your body. And so it made me think of that. Wow, your brain is so powerful that it is manifesting those symptoms or those feelings within your body. So taken to an extreme, that belief can really do damage to a person who's going through some mental health issues. So just wanted to read a couple excerpts from the article. Again, I thought it was pretty well done and kind of hit the topic right on the head. So without further ado, in the self-help smash memoir, You Are a Badass, Jen Sinshiro says that she is always able to find an incredible parking spot. Her strategy isn't to leave early or to stalk people holding car keys, but to think and believe from the outset that she's going to get a spot. The perfect spot is mine. It already exists. I am genuinely so happy and grateful for it, she writes, as she truly believes this. Then, just like her thoughts predicted, someone will pull out of the perfect spot exactly when she needs it. So again, I have actually a cousin who, again, he credits getting good parking spots to his grandmother. Apparently, Grandmama Lily Mae, I guess she would be my great aunt, great great aunt, and she would always get great parking spaces. So when I drive, man, I swear, if we pull up, to the grocery store or something like that, get a real close parking spot, he would point to the ceiling. That's grandma right there. So shout out to Phil if you're listening. So, but as you see, I think there's, some people like this. They just truly believe, hey, the parking spot's there. Again, her strategy isn't to get there early, do anything else, but just truly believe it's going to happen. And then when it does happen, bam, perfect. I've manifested this thought. This thing is working for me. She's a true believer. However, what if you're a person that's not thinking such positive thoughts? Oh, I never get parking spaces. You know, oh man, I'm probably get in a car accident or something on the way there. You know, if you're a different type of person, that belief can really be bad. So back to the article. Shinsiro's strategy is essentially to manifest the parking spot, to think about it hard enough and will it into existence. Manifesting is not new by any means, but has found a resurgence in the wellness, Instagram influencer self-care world. People who espouse manifesting says it works because of the law of attraction, which is the ability to attract into our lives whatever we are focusing on. The law of attraction is said to have appeared first in a 1877 Russian occultist, Helena Blavatsky, but was popularized about a decade later by New Thought writers as part of a movement that emphasized mind healing through spiritual, religious, and metaphysical means. So again, it always kind of smacked a little bit of hustle, as far as that whole, hey, write yourself a blank check from the universe, fill out the money, or manifest this dream husband, dream job, ideal apartment in Paris, any of these little things that we just want, and all of a sudden now there's a spiritual element to it to justify it. And so it's kind of interesting. I've heard that name before, Helena Blavatsky, like Madame Blavatsky or something like that. And yeah, she's associated with, again, occultist, new thought, kind of creation type of things back in the day. So, and then again, this is where it kind of speaks about, what I talked about, what I saw in every, living room of our upline, was The Secret. So it has come in and out of vogue since The Secret was the Law of Attraction's most recent blockbuster, selling over 30 million copies and translated into 50 languages. Despite its medium, the Law of Attraction's fundamentals have remained the same. It decrees that all thoughts turn into things eventually. See, now think about that. All thoughts turn into things eventually. That's a very powerful thing, to put in someone's mind. And it can actually, I think it can make you afraid to think. You may be wanting to numb out if you're so scared that what I think is going to happen is going to happen. So if you're angry at somebody and you're thinking, "Oh man, I wish that person would just drop dead," or something like that. It's like, "Oh my God, they're really gonna," you could freak yourself out just by having normal thoughts that anybody would have. But you couple that with an ideology, and now you have the makings for a person with anxiety's not worst nightmare. But the law of attraction sounds uncomfortably similar to another concept that many are likely familiar with, even if they don't know its name: thought action fusion. Thought action fusion is a psychological term defined in the mid 1990s from the belief that thoughts and actions are somehow linked together, and that thinking something is the same as doing it, or that thoughts alone can cause things to happen. And it's a risk factor for developing many anxiety disorders or perpetuating their symptoms. There you go. If you're diagnosed with any type of anxiety disorder or anything like that, having again that thought action fusion, that idea, that's what can be paralyzing, to that person. Actions are somehow linked together with thoughts, and that thinking something is the same as doing it. The only other concept I've kind of heard like that was, if you're in the church, when they're trying to tell you to, not to have sex before marriage, not to sin, all of this stuff. And one of the things, they talk about is Jesus says, if you've even looked upon a woman, um, if you've looked upon a woman like that, then you've committed adultery already, you know. And I always thought that was a heck of a thing. Again, they would always, like it was kind of a scare tactic. I ain't gonna lie. We need to go deeper into that scripture. But the idea that if you've already committed adultery within your mind, then you've already sinned. You might as well have done it already. And I always thought that's kind of a dangerous concept. If you truly believe that, then then it's like, man, well, I'm always sinning anyway. I'm going to hell anyway. Might as well do it. Get something out of it. I think that could cause, it could go left. But um, that's it's just one of those things you kind of look back on, that things that you're taught and you're like, wait a minute, if I, flesh that out to its logical conclusion, how healthy is that? How healthy of a way of thinking is that? And so I think it's nice to know too that people have already, done some research into this stuff. As I came across it again, the thought action fusion is a psychological term, actually, and they've been working on it since the mid '90s. And it's they've already seen that it's a risk factor and it's associated with people with social anxiety. That this can be something that's very detrimental to them. So it goes on to say a person with social anxiety might believe that because they think others are judging them, that makes it true. A person with depression might believe that because they think life isn't worth living, that extends to reality. It's a very dangerous thing, truly believe. Like, if you're depressed, if you're going through it. And again, my father always told me there's only three types of people in this world: somebody that's just been through it, somebody going through it, and somebody that's about to go through it. So you can get into these periods of depression or, be clinically diagnosed with it. And then those depressive thoughts, those um, non-life affirming thoughts, you really believe those are going to manifest again into your reality and cause you to do irreparable damage. So again, the writer of the article, Shayla, she talks about something personal here. She says, in the therapy sessions that I attend each week for anxiety and obsessive compulsive disorder, I spend a lot of time learning the opposite lesson: that thoughts do not equal reality. Just because I think that a surface is covered with germs, think that something I've done is imperfect, or think something bad will happen, those thoughts do not actually translate to real life. So you see the counter, it's literally a clash of ideologies. If what you're doing, if what you're learning in therapy to deal with your anxiety, to deal with your OCD, we've done, episodes on that. If what you're doing to deal with that is being taught that, your thoughts do not equal reality, now all of a sudden you're running it again into an ideology of, law of attraction. Okay, what you think's going to actually, is going to gravitate towards you. Well, hey, if you're thinking germs, if you're OCD, if you're thinking that a surface is covered with germs, well then again, you'll drive yourself, lowercase c crazy, trying to, eliminate that no matter what, no matter any evidence to the contrary. So that's literally the exact opposite of therapy. That's going further into your misery. That's not getting yourself better and helping yourself. So um, as she continues, these are just thoughts, my therapist taught me to say. They flit around in my mind, uncontrollable and often upsetting, but they are contained there. I can observe them and let them be and not worry about them leaking through my ears or somehow infiltrating my everyday life. Now, again, that's a powerful thing to learn. Her therapist gave her a powerful tool there into dealing with those thoughts, because it's not about denying it. The whole thing of your, going to therapy, the step, to get help, to obviously get her, diagnosed with anxiety, OCD, to get her to that point, she's trying to get better. And so she's been giving, tools and affirming messages, from her therapist, to remind her to, calm her anxiety down that, hey, okay, I am going through it right now. I am having these thoughts, not necessarily good ones, but they're contained in her mind. And I love how she says, um, don't have to worry that they're going to leak through my ears or somehow infiltrate my everyday life. That kind of imagery of it. Our thoughts are not leaking through our ears. Our people, we do not have signs above our head, saying what's going on through our minds. Now, a lot of times we can give it away through our facial expression. I think we've all heard that. What's that expression? Undressing somebody with your eyes. So, uh, pervy looks and all that. Pervy looks and all that aside, those things are you're just thinking in your mind. Um, whether they be true or not, they are contained within there, and that and to be in contrast and to see that thing that's helping you, that dogma, that mantra, that's been helping her get through these times, in stark contrast to what's popular. When you're going self-help things, as they say, Instagram, self-help Instagram nowadays, wellness Instagram, blogs and all that. While I was researching, for this topic, as I type in, law of attraction, manifestation, mental health, man, the amount of articles that come up, 7 steps to manifesting the perfect this and that, just as they say. It's a lot of hustle out there, I believe. So, if she continues in the article, she says, clinicians have delineated two kinds of thought action fusions, says Joanna Thompson Holland, an assistant professor of psychiatry at Boston University School of Medicine. There are moral thought action fusions and likelihood thought action fusions. In both, people overestimate the power of meaning in their thoughts. So again, I think that last part's important. No matter, which kind of, thought action fusion you're, having here, the whole point is you're putting entirely too much meaning on those thoughts, on those things that are just contained in your head, you know? And so the moral thought action fusion is the belief that thinking something is the moral equivalent to actually doing it. Again, what I brought up again, what they tell us in church about Jesus, if you, looked upon a woman with lust, you've already committed adultery type of thing. It's a moral part of it, the moral equivalent to actually doing it. So if you think about killing someone, it's the same as killing someone in real life. They say, for example, likelihood thought action fusion is similar to manifesting. It's the belief that thinking about something will increase the likelihood that it will happen. That's wild, because that's I think we have to navigate that carefully, because again, we are about positive affirmations here. We are about positive thoughts. Um, you know, believing, if you're coming to situations, relationships, whatever, with positivity, good intentions, good thoughts, good, those will lead to good actions. We do believe that now, you know, we do want to promote that positive but we don't want to go to the extreme of, if I'm thinking about I'm going to get struck by lightning, the more and more I think about getting struck by lightning, I'm going to get struck by lightning. That's going to increase my likelihood. No, increase what will increase your likelihood of getting struck by lightning is if you stand under, a tree during a tall tree during a storm. If you're outside where there's actually lightning going on, um, you know, standing near objects that are really tall, or puddles and all those things, maybe, but not just simply thinking it. If it's broad daylight, sun shining, beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky, no matter how much I think I'm gonna get struck by lightning, whether it be by God or anybody else, as we always have that expression, get away from you before the lightning come, if we say something about God. No matter how much I think I'm going to get struck by lightning, if there's not a cloud in the sky, I'm not going to get struck. And so I thought this, again, this article is pretty cool. I learned a few things in it, and it's nice to know that there are some people who are thinking outside of the box as well. Like I said, this article is just a few years old, um, and for something we just take for granted, something that we just okay, getting our vision board together, getting our ideal this together, getting our mind right, getting our thoughts aligned for that new year, new me, that whole New Year's resolution type of thing. I think there's some positivity to that, to get our brains going in a positive direction. But when taken to the extreme, when not put in the proper context in the environment, or not well, this is not a one size fits all life. Just like it's not one size fits all therapy, not one size fits all conditions. The ideologies we subscribe to, just even casually in our everyday life, we should maybe reevaluate that. If you are an anxious person, somebody that deals with anxiety, somebody that deals with depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, something like that, you have to be more vigilant about what you are subscribing to. What could be very helpful for that one person, you know, but and be innocent enough of them believing that they're going to get a parking spot. Just that simple. The belief that the parking spot's already there. It's coming to me. I think I already have it, and boom, you get it. That's an entirely different thing, as opposed to if you believe um, that again, life is not worth living. You're depressed, you're down on yourself, you're worthless. Well, then, hey, now you're projecting that out into the in your mind. If you believe in this law of attraction, well then hey, that's going to attract things and that's going to end my life perhaps. So we're about life over here on this show, and we're about living it to the fullest. And so just things like this, there'll be others that I come up with, and that we just come across, that we have to really take a second to look at of what we're really subscribing to, um, and what's really healthy for us. So shout out to anybody out there. Again, I'm not trying to down the secret necessarily. I'm not trying to knock anybody's hustle. As I said, even with the multi-level marketing thing, I was in the pyramid scheme, so to speak. I don't even have that negative of a outlook on it. As I spoke about it in episode 33 with James. I did learn a lot from it. However, I can see how this could really be hurting people. And I could just see, hey man, if legitimate publications are putting out stuff, 7 step to manifesting anything that you want, asking the universe to get this and that and stuff for you. I think we really need to really evaluate, okay, what is this really saying to us? How is this really affecting us from a mental health standpoint, from a personal standpoint? What is that ideology? What is that belief system? How is that going to work with the person that I am, and the issues that I deal with? Again, and that's going to be different for everybody. So thank you all for rocking with me another episode, man. We don't have a question of the day or mental health break of the day. That's Mino's thing, and I don't have a partner to bounce it off of. So I'd rather just end it by sharing with you kind of something that I've been going through with my therapist. People that follow the show know this whole thing is inspired because I decided to get some therapy myself, share with and encourage others to go ahead and get therapy as well, to take their mental health and prioritize their mental health and take it more seriously. And so one of the things I've been working on with my therapist is response versus reaction. Am I responding to something versus am I just reacting to something? I think that's an idea that's really helped me lately, and in terms of reevaluating why am I doing certain things. So just a quick aside. If you have a routine, we all we're creatures of habit, man. We just, hey, I do this. When I come home, kick off my feet, I go to the refrigerator, I drink this, I eat this, I do this, that, and the third. All right, we all have our routines we get into, but reevaluating, okay, what is this training me to do? Why am I reacting to my environment? Okay, I'm hungry, so I just reach for this. Oh, I'm used to, or am I even hungry? Am I just used to getting this at this time? Am I thirsty? Do I really want to drink, or am I just used to drinking, at this time? This goes with that. Am I truly evaluating and taking a look at my actions, and why do I think, okay, this is the cure to get rid of that feeling? I have this feeling where I feel like I need to do this. Okay, why do I feel like that? I'll give an example of my buddy came to visit me, and he works on Sundays. That's every Sunday he's always working. That's his day really. And so he's on vacation real quick. As he's transitioned to a new job, and it was Sunday morning, and like it's like 9 o'clock. It's still pretty early in the morning. And he's like, "Yeah, man, let's go do something. Let's da da da." He's like, "Well, we got to move. We got." I was just like looking at him, kind of like, "Nah, man. I mean, we can get some breakfast if that's what you want to do. That's fine." And he was like, "Man, dang. I guess I'm so used to working Sunday. Like, he got anxious. His body was just used to moving, not even thinking about what necessarily he really wanted to do. He just felt like he had to do something. And so, so that's really helped me, lately to kind of reevaluate my activities to put things into a more cohesive and coherent direction, in my life. Because as you know, even during the time of this show, a lot of things have changed in my life. I became a father. I have a young son. He's 4 months old now, and I need to again time. Time is more precious than it's ever been, and I need to really be more thoughtful about how I'm spending, my time, what I'm doing, how am I dealing with certain situation. Am I truly responding to the situation, or am I just reacting to it? Am I really looking at what needs to be done to resolve the issue? Whether it be with me and the mother of my child, whether it be at the job, whether it be friendship wise, whether it be on this podcast, whatever it is, whatever anytime I encounter an issue, all right, am I truly responding to that issue? Am I evaluating what will be best to handle this and actually deal with it? Or am I just doing something, or, to do it? Am I just have a reaction to shut it down, or for me not to have to deal with it? We did a show on procrastination, and also boundary issues. Hey man, I was preaching to myself on those because that's forced me to like, hey man, am I really okay, why haven't I really taken care of this yet? Am I procrastinating because I'm afraid to actually do this? Or is it just, am I building this, like, again, shout out to James on the last episode, am I building up this dragon in my mind? This thing, I'm making it this monster that it really isn't. So I hope y'all got something out of that. Take that with you into your week. You know, um, Response versus reaction. Out here as you encounter this world, things happen. You got to roll with the punches. Again, another episode we did. So I guess maybe it's all been kind of building up to this. And again, I'm everybody keep my co-host Mino Pachan in your prayers, as he heals up. He's going through some medical issues right now. And so again, keep him in your prayers, keep them lifted up. And we're gonna hold it down solo as long as we have to. But I got some great guests coming up. Actually some blasts from the past, man. I got a personal old friend of mine that's going to be coming on the show, sharing some great information specifically for the ladies. Very specifically, she's going to come on and talk about an issue um, that again, I wouldn't be able to speak to it, as a man. It's something I would never actually be going through. But it's something, again, I just became a father, and it's something I running up to it, people told me to be aware of and to just be kind of on the lookout for and be sensitive to. So she'll be coming up to deal with that topic and really spread some great information to you all. Really excited about it. Stay tuned. And then also, as I said, we have another, three-time returning guest, hypnotherapist Rupert Missick Jr. From the land down under. He's going to be joining us here in a couple weeks to get him back on the show. Always dropping such great wisdom and knowledge. And if you have not heard him on the show before, I don't know if you've been under a rock or you're just discovering us right now, but go back, definitely check out his episodes. We try to bring actual mental health professionals on the show to really give us, like I said, our street cred. So we're just not a couple of guys here talking in the wind about mental health. Let's bring on some people who are here who are really dedicated, trained, and put that time in to really help you all. Because you give me a listening ear and rock with me today. I really do appreciate it. First time holding it down solo. I thank you all for rocking with me. And until next time, until next week, again, keep my boy in your prayers. Hopefully I won't be solo again. But if I have to, hey man, until next week.